Tisha B'Av is a day of mourning. When we mourn on Tisha B'Av, we could feel that mourning, that avelis in our stomachs, because we're fasting. You could feel it with your physical bodies, because we sit on the floors, we're not comfortable, some sleep at night without a pillow. I feel that the main challenge on Tisha B'Av for everyone really is to feel the mourning and the avelis in one's heart. We have to know and understand, what did we lose? What did we lose with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash? That we should feel a void, a vacuum, an emptiness. And if somehow we could relate to this aspect of avelis, that we lost something, even though it was 2,000 years ago. If we could understand it, then our Tisha B'Av will be more meaningful. And our relationship with Hashem would be much deeper. I want to begin with a famous story of the Ramah that the Ramah writes in his Sefer Torah. A story that happened with Yirmiyah Hanavi after the Churban Beis Hamikdash destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, the first Beis Hamikdash. Nebuchadnezzar and Apalton, Ptolemy, a great Greek philosopher, came to Yerushalayim. And Apalton was looking at the ruins of the Har HaBayis, and he saw Yirmiyah Hanavi. He was sitting, he was crying, he was lamentating on the Churban. And Apalton couldn't understand. Yirmiyah, you're such an intelligent man of wisdom. How could you cry on mere stones and wood? How could you do that? What purpose is it? It's destroyed. And you who are such a chacham, you don't cry on the past. And Yirmiyah turned to Apalton and said, let me ask you, you're a very big philosopher, so tell me, you have any questions, unanswered questions in philosophy that you never got the answers to? Please ask me some of those questions. And Ptolemy gave one question after the other, and Yirmiyah Hanavi answered every question that was unsolved by the great Greek philosopher. And at the end of the list of his questions, Ptolemy was so blown away at the wisdom of Yirmiyah Hanavi. He said, wow, I never met an individual like you who is so intelligent, who's so brilliant, who has such deep reason. And Yirmiyah said, Ptolemy, I want you to know that all my wisdom, all my das, all my chachma, I drew from these pieces of wood and stones. All my chachma and das I attribute to what is now destroyed. And as far as your question, what is a chacham crying over the past? Doesn't present itself so coveted. Even if I would explain it to you, you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. In this story, with Yirmiyah Hanavi and Ptolemy, Yirmiyah Hanavi opens to us a window, a small window through which we can understand what did we lose. What's different after the Churban? Is it just that we don't have Karbonis, we don't have Avodah? We don't have the grandeur of this beautiful edifice, the Hashros, Hashchina. Yirmiyah Hanavi says we don't have the das, the wisdom, the intellect, but it's much deeper. It's on a spiritual level to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to connect in a deep way to Hashem, to His universe, to His olam. These stones, these eitzim, brought wisdom, chachma, the chachma of Hashem, to anyone who walked inside. And the light of the menorah emanated to the world outside. We're missing das. The first bracha we say in Shemona Esrei, the first bakasha, Ato chonein adam das, choneinu me'idcha deya. An Adam is known as a Tzelem Elokim, which Rashi says, Lahavinu lahaskil, to understand purpose and meaning of what life is all about. What's our mission in this world? If you don't have that Beis Hamikdash, we don't have that clarity. Life becomes cloudy, becomes opaque. And we're disconnected. And we're distracted for everything else in this world. Amar Rav Ami, the Gemara says, Gedoyla deya shenitna b'tchilas bracha shel chayil. Day is very important. It plays a very significant role. It's the first bracha, bakasha of chayil. V'yomar Rav Ami, and then Rav Ami also says, Gedoyla deya shenitna bein shtei oisis. Deya, das is very significant. It's placed between two names of Hashem. Kikel Deos Hashem. Omer Rabbi Elazar, Gadol Mikdash. Shenitten ben shtei oises. Mikdash is also chashuv. Look who the Mikdash is surrounded by. Also two names of Hashem. Pa'alta Hashem, Mikdash Hashem, Konini Yadecha. If Mikdash is between two names of Hashem, must mean that Mikdash is something that's very chashiv, that it's surrounded by Hashem. Rabbi Eliezer says another word. Kol adam sheyesh bo ideya, a person has the proper das. K'ilu nivna Beis Hamikdash biyomov. It's as if the Beis Hamikdash was built in his days. If one has das, the knowledge of Hashem, the knowledge of his mission, the knowledge of his purpose, and he understands that with a clarity. It's as if he built the Beis Hamikdash. What does the Beis Hamikdash have to do with das? Because the Beis Hamikdash was das. It was that makum that would radiate like the sun, its warmth and its light, the light of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. If you had any speakers in the moon, you just had to go to the Beis Hamikdash. And the Hashras HaShechina that was there would take your polluted das, the pollution that we get from the Rishus HaRabim and all the distractions and all the glitter from Eilam Hazeh. And with that das, it would just blow away all the excess, all the pollution, all the aliens in our head and thoughts and ashkafis and distortions that don't belong there. Kol adam sheyesh bo deya kilu nivda Beis Hamikdash biyomov. Without a Beis Hamikdash, we don't have that das. We don't have the correct das. Chachma b'goyim ta'amin. Yes, Ptolemy. He had chachma. He had a lot of wisdom. He had secular wisdom. He had external wisdom. He was a whiz kid. What does that get you? What does that get you without relating that chachma to purpose and meaning, what Hashem gave you, and for what reason He gave it to you, and for what reason that Hashem created the world? What do we lose? You remember I said we lost us. We don't have that clarity anymore. Once the Beis Hamikdash is not here, we're at a great loss. And das is the most important thing. If you don't know where you're going, and you don't know which path to take, then any path will get you there. But if you have a direction, and you have the knowledge of the destination. That even when you walk in the wrong path, you will retract yourself and find the correct path that will lead you to fulfill your mission. I'd like to speak about one aspect of Das and the Beis Hamikdash, which was the source, the makor of Das. One of the miracles, the Nisim, that was in the Beis Hamikdash was Oimdim, Tzfufim, and Mishtacharim, Vavachim. That they stood, at the Oile Regalim, they stood very crunched in. But when it came to bow down and Mishtachavim, it was Ravachim. Everyone had Daled Amos. It's as if there was no space. Space was expanded. If you're crowded like sardines, and all of a sudden when you have to bow down and be Mishtachaveh, you had 4 Amos. The Beis Hamikdash expanded in a physical way, as Chazal tell us that the Aron didn't take up any space. With the measurements, the Aron didn't take up any space. It was beyond the physical. Kemigdal David Savarich. The pasuk calls the Beis Hamikdash Migdal David like a tzavor, a neck. A neck has a head, and a neck is connected to the body. Connects the head and the body. So too the Beis Hamikdash connected the Shemayim to the Oretz. The head, the Shemayim, and the Oretz, the body. And the Aron was at a point where it's almost top of the neck, where it touches the head. The Aron was Shemayim dik, it was heavenly. No space. It didn't take up space. It was almost ruchnius. That's where the luchos were. The Beis Hamikdash expands. There was a physical expansion. And there was a spiritual expansion. A person's limitations, a person's intelligence, a person's heart, it all expanded. Your understanding of Hashem, the clarity of mission. That's the Beis Hamikdash. The koyach of Das, because Das, insight, can expand a person. I'm going to read a word from Tisches Koritzer. Tisches Koritzer says, Shlosha devavim marchivin dato shel adam. 3 things expand the das of a person. What can expand the das of a person? His look, his perspective. Chazal say, Vayis noah, dira noah, kalim noah. A person has a nice house. He has nice kalim, he has nice furniture and vessels. That expands a person's das. You have a hard day's work, you come to a nice house. You have a bias noah. Isha noah. You have a wonderful spouse. The hard day's work cheers you up. And kalim noim. A nice apartment with nice vessels. Furniture. These 3 things, Avayas, Isha, and Kalim, expand the person's das. And Rav Pinchas Koritzer says, you touch up the mission a little different. Gimel Devarim, these 3 things of Avayas, of an Isha, and Kalim. Marchivin dato shel adam means that the das of a person expands it. not that it's expanded by, it expands the das of a person. It's the das of a person that can expand these situations where you feel limited, where you feel I got a bad deal. You have a house, you say, I'm not happy with my house. I have a spouse, I'm not happy with my spouse. You have kalim, you got a car, you got furniture. Oh, my next door neighbor has better stuff. He releases every year. A person could feel mitzumtzum, he could feel the limitation. The das is a reframe. When you put the picture in a different frame, it brings out different colors. Das is such a koyach that it can take something that's crunchy, no space, and expand it. And see how beautiful it really is. Ein only elo b'das. Chazal tell us, ein only b'das. A poor person is only in his mind. If you think you got it bad, look at people who are 10 times lower than you. Then all of a sudden you see, I'm not doing so bad compared to other people. Poverty is only in the das. If we had the right das, we'd see that everything that we got from Hashem is exact, and it couldn't be anything better. And this is for me, my tachlis. She'asa li kol tzarki, you say in the morning. What do you think about when you say that every morning? She'asa li kol tzarki, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me so many things. And you think of all the positive things that you have. Think about the losses. What about the things you don't have? That's she'asa li kol tzarki too. Those are things that you need. She'asa li kol tzarki. The koyach of das is the koyach to realize that whatever you have, it's perfect. Whatever Hashem gave you, it's tailor-made for you. Gimel Devarim Marchivin Dato Shel Adam is that the das of a person is marchiv, these three things. Whether it's objects or whether it's people and relationships. If we had a Beis Hamikdash, we would have this expansion quality. We would be able to reframe. We would say, Hakol B'dei Shemayim. We'd say, Gamzu L'Toiva. We'd have a different look in the Bria. Without the Beis Hamikdash, which is the koyach of das, we don't have the das to reframe our daily situations. Because the das would mean to connect it to Hashem. That what He gives us is exact. It's for me. Whether it seems handicapped or not. This is how I could express my Kiddush Hashem in my life. That ability is lost amongst all the other aspects of das. Shabbos is das. Lo das ki ani mekadeshchem. Shabbos is a time to know that Hashem is mekadesh us. Shabbos is das. That's why, says the Shem Shmuel, you don't ask for das on Shabbos. You don't ask for parnasa, you don't ask for bracha, you don't ask for different things, because Chacham said we don't want to ask things that might cause us tirdus, bother. But ask for das, that's ruchni. Shabbos, you don't ask for das, because Shabbos is das. Lo das, ki ali Hashem mekadeshchem. Rav loch Shabbos b'emek habacha. You've been sitting in the Emek HaBacha, we say in L'chadoidi. Emek habocha, you're crying, we're crying. What are you crying for? Bais, Kalim, Isha, Bais, Chaf Aleph. Stop crying over the Bais, your Kalim and Isha, the Rashi Tevas of Bacha. Shabbos is Das. Reframe yourself. Reframe yourself to connect Hashem with your neshama and Yisera. And you won't cry. You will feel expanded. Because on Shabbos your Das could expand it. If we could only somehow feel that loss of Das, that we could reframe situations, that's something to mourn over. We can make ourselves very unhappy for the rest of our lives. But if you use your Das, those unhappy situations can change. And it can bring about Hashem into your life. Because He knows best. He knows best for you too. Every one of us. This is what we have to take on our loss of the Churban. The Das that the Beis Hamikdash gave for its stones. Like Yirmiyah Novi. And if you want to build that Beis Hamikdash, we'll start reframing. Start using your Das. And show that Das is important to you. You missed the Das. And therefore, please bring me back the Beis Hamikdash because I missed the Das. And you bring out a happier you, a happier spouse. You bring out happiness in your house. When you have that amun in Hashem, that's Das brings you to. We zeicher to have the Bina Beis Hamikdash. Meheru Yameinu Amen.